allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like everyone to stand for a moment of silence for all the men and women who served our country in the past and present. Okay. Public comments on agenda items? Is there any? Agenda items?
I haven't gotten there yet.
Okay.
All right, so. Lizette Hisman, 506 North Clove Road. On the seniors, the amount of money that the town board has given to the seniors for years and years and years, it isn't paying them for something, it's sponsoring our seniors. And the town board sponsors other groups also, and doesn't require them to first come in with invoices. I'm sure if the board wanted, as they spend the money, they could turn in the invoices. But these are our seniors, and they don't have a large treasury to fall back on that they could lay the money out first and then apply for it.
Thank you, Lizette. Anyone else? Okay, we have a guest speaker, our county legislator, Marc Coviello.
Is this on?
Yes.
It is? Hello? Okay. Hi, how are you, everybody? My name's...
That's just for the camera.
Oh, okay.
Really.
My name is Marc Coviello. I'm the Dutchess County Legislator for a majority of Beekman and part of Unionville, which is District 1 of Unionville. If your county legislator is not me, it's my colleague, Legislator Sermon. So any questions you could ask me, or if I'm not your legislator, I'll answer them today, but you could direct them to Legislator Sermon as well. I just wanted to come in and do a quick legislative update for everybody about the past 6 weeks I've been in office, just to keep everybody informed, and I do believe in open government, so I just wanted to keep you guys up to date. Since I've started the legislature, I've been added as a committee member for the Budget, Finance, and Personnel Committee, the Veterans Affairs Committee, the Environmental Committee, and also as a liaison to the chairman of the legislature for the Sexual Offenders Management Committee. For some of you that do know, I'm a Iraq and Afghanistan veteran, so I want to start off with the Veterans Affairs. That's something that's near and dear to my heart. When I got there, the Veterans Affairs Committee actually hasn't met in 7 months. It was very stagnant. They weren't doing anything. I was kind of upset about that, so I wanted to get in there and reinvigorate that committee. We started to speak to each other about setting up a meeting. I believe we'll have a meeting shortly, hopefully next week, and I wanted to provide some more leadership there to give them some more purpose and direction, and I want to make our top agenda item to create a Veterans Affairs court in Dutchess County. Some other counties throughout the state have Veterans Affairs courts. Dutchess County does not, so that's something that I want to create. I think it's important because a lot of these guys coming back now have PTSD, and it leads them to doing some things that they end up being incarcerated for, and it's something that could be handled a bit differently, and I think veterans deserve that respect to, have their, their cases looked at a bit differently with dealing with PTSD. Also, I want to talk about a bit of economic development that I've been working on. As I said, I'm the legislator for Beekman and Unionville, so the economic development that I have been working on has been based in Beekman because they pointed out something specific that they wanted to happen, and that was a Beekman Town Center. So I've been working with economic development, the assistant to the county executive of economic development to create a Beekman Town Center, also with PACE's economic development team. If there's anything that the Unionville Town Board and Town Supervisor would like to address about economic development that maybe the county could help out with, I'd be more than happy to get together with Legislator Sermon and help you guys out with that.
Where would the town center be?
It'd be near the Beekman Diner. Has been we pointed out a plot of land there that could be used for a Beekman Center. So the PACE, the economic development teams that come in, we're going to go out and do, basically show them around the town and have them look at the different areas. But we pointed out one specific plot.
That's where they were cutting all the trees.
Yeah, I believe so in that area. Yes, sir. Yeah, I think we're thinking about the same spot.
To cut the trees to develop.
Yeah, well, that's not. I don't think they were cutting the trees for that purpose just yet. But later on, I think we're thinking about the same area. Also, one of the other things I've been working on is a sex offenders topic. We had something happen over at Pine Grove Motel where we had an influx of sex offenders come into the district, and a lot of constituents were very upset about it. One of the worst sex offenders we had there was a level 3 sex offender, and just not the kind of person that we want in our community. Some of the people were upset because the school bus stop was very close to where they placed them. And the practice that they have currently is placing sex offenders in a concentrated area like motels. And I just don't believe that's a practical thing to do, is place these kinds of people all together. So something I've been working on is I've been working with the county executive side and the legislature side to create a new, more practical approach to placing sex offenders within our county. So that's something I'm working on. The last thing I wanted to touch on was the Dutchess County Jail. Some of the people here are probably familiar with that we have a problem with the jail. It's been an issue for about nearly 2 decades, but it's been a hot item that you'd see in the Poughkeepsie Journal lately coming up. If you're not familiar with it, I'll go over it real quick, and I'll try to make it as fast as possible because it is a kind of lengthy topic. The problem with the jail is that it's way too small for the amount of people we have to put into it. Currently, it hosts about 250 inmates for general population, and I believe it's just a bit over 40 for specific population. On the worst day, the last year we had to house about 520 inmates, so obviously we can't fit that in our Dutchess County Jail, and the problem is we have to send these inmates to other counties to house them. And last year alone, it cost us $8 million in housing out fees. To date, we've spent about $40 million in housing out fees. I took a tour of the jail. It's very old. It's falling apart. And also the way the jail is set up, it doesn't provide a good line of sight for the correctional officers. It has a very bad layout, so that causes us to spend a lot more money in overtime for the correctional officers. So we spend millions of dollars in overtime for that. The county executive has proposed a plan of building a new jail. It's been proposed and brought to the legislature. We're still going over it and looking at the details. But this new jail being built will have a cost savings of it was just over $4 million of cost savings. I believe it was $5.3 million of cost savings annually if we had a new jail. We didn't have to house out the inmates and transport them back and forth. There's a lot of details about this plan. If I could answer any questions about anything I've said since Veterans Affairs to the jail, I'd be more than happy to answer them. Yes, ma'am.
I'm just curious as to why the county could not obtain one of the state prisons that are being accessed by the state down in Beacon and use that as a county jail.
Well, that state prison that's not being utilized, that's something that I could ask the county executive for you. If there's these questions that I can't answer, like I said, there's a lot of information that I've had. I mean, this is 2 small packets that I've gotten, and I've had an abundance of information. So if I can't answer something, I promise you that I will find out the answer and I'll get back to you.
It's not that long a drive to Poughkeepsie.
Yeah, I know it. By law, counties are mandated to have a facility to house inmates. That's a mandate for us to do that. And so far, the jail that we've had is just completely insufficient. So if I'll ask them if why we can't use that place. But yeah, sure. Yeah, that hasn't been brought up in the legislature yet. So yes, ma'am.
$5 million in cost savings assumes that we pay for the jail in. How much does the jail cost to rebuild? Have you looked at renovating?
Yep.
When we finish paying for it, it'll take how much time? And then ultimately, we'll get $5 million in savings, it sounds like.
Yes.
Maybe down the road. Way down the road.
No, well, actually, the jail will be finished in 2021, so and it would cost, the bond would be out for, the proposed amount is $192 million for the proposed amount. It could come down a little bit less if we could lower the amount of inmates that we would be housing or create beds for a certain amount of inmates, so it might be lower than that. But the annual cost for having the new Justice and Transition Center annually between the operational costs is $43 million. And if we don't build it, between the operational costs of having the old jail, just 250 beds, housing them out, and having all the overtime for the correctional officers, would come out to $48.9 million. So that's where you get the $5.3 million savings annually.
So just one follow-up question.
Yes, ma'am.
There's this whole national pressure about releasing inmates that have been incarcerated for low-level crimes.
Mm-hmm.
How many people in that jail have been incarcerated for low-level crimes, and are we over-jailing for something that we may in the future decide to release people?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. It's something I brought up myself, actually. And the answer I was given was if we are actually housing or incarcerating a very low amount of inmates. The county executive has put forth alternatives to incarceration in recent years, and our levels are, if you look at the national average, it's 250 inmates per 100,000 residents of a county. That's a national average. The New York average, surprisingly, is a little bit lower. It's 215 inmates per 100,000 residents. That's the New York average. And here in Dutchess County, we actually have 140 inmates per 100,000 residents. So it's already a lot lower than what the, in comparison to other counties is.
So how many inmates are there in the jail now?
It fluctuates day to day, sir. Fluctuates quite a bit, actually. But like I said, on the worst day, it was up over 500. And just recently, when the county executive was speaking about this issue, on that day, it was 407. So it fluctuates quite a bit, but yeah.
How many inmates were found out last year?
So we are, with no extensions on the jail, the permanent jail that we have, we are allowed to, we have beds for 250 general population inmates.
Yeah, but how many were, last year it cost $40 million.
$8 million to house out.
million?
Yes, sir.
$8 million. So how many inmates were sent out for $8 million?
Over the course of the entire year, I don't have the figure of how many were sent out, but like I said, it fluctuates the amount of inmates that come in and out of our jail system.
How much do they charge the county per inmate per day?
That's also a good question, and that also fluctuates the dollar figure. Depends where you bring them. Sometimes it could be, $50 a day for an inmate. It could be more, it could be less, but every inmate, that's per day. So every inmate that you're sending out, you have to spend per day a cost of having them there. That's so they can feed them, house them, transport them. So it's quite a bit of money to house out. That's the issue we've had for the course of the last 2 decades. It's costed us, like I said, $40 million to date. So the proposal in front of us is to build a new jail. And I find myself to be a very fiscally conservative legislator, so I want to do what's best for the taxpayers here in the district. And from the data that I've seen, building a new jail would be certainly the most fiscally conservative approach to this. There's definitely more to take in, and this is going to be a big discussion in the legislature for quite some time, and I'm going to have to take in more information, but to this point, the data shows that building a new jail is by far the most fiscally conservative approach to this. Yes, ma'am?
Where does the money come from, and how does it affect a town like Unionville and the people right here? How does it affect us? How will our situation change?
Sure. So the money that comes from a bond, the bond will be taken out by New York State, I believe, and the county will have to pay that back. To pay it back per year, the annual debt would be paid back at $9.9 million. That is with interest that we would pay on the bond. So $9.9 million annually. It's a lot. But if you look at not doing anything, we'll be paying close to $15 million a year if we don't do anything. That's because we're going to have to house out inmates, and the operational costs of maintaining the old jail that we have now with the overtime, transporting the inmates. The inmates are going to be in the system for longer periods of time because we won't be able to process them as quickly, not being here in Dutchess County. So it's a substantially larger amount to pay for not doing anything.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
The proposed new jail, how many beds would that entail?
Currently, the proposed number is 569 beds. That number could fluctuate. It could come down, which would mean the bond amount that we would be taking out would be less. So if we could do less, I would like to do less. I'd like to take out as little as possible, so our annual debt would be as little as possible.
Unfortunately, though, criminal industry is a growth industry.
Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, you have to look at the fact that Dutchess County is growing in population as well, so that's something
And
to
if we get
consider.
closer to the national average,
Yeah.
we could need a lot more than 569.
Absolutely, that's something you have to look at, to look to the future and the health of our, fiscal, policies, and if we don't do anything, it really is detrimental to Dutchess County. Yes, sir.
When you refer to the old jail,
Yes, sir.
is that the entire complex, or is it the new section, the old section combined?
Yes, so you have the new section built was in 95, was the newest. The older section was built in 84, I believe, and I visited this jail, and I took a tour of it, and the old section is in horrendous condition. It's literally falling apart, and it needs work. So regardless, money doesn't have to be put into a jail, regardless if we build a new one or we maintain the old one, but the newer portion of it could be repurposed, not as a jail, but as a transition center for, drug abusers or mental health, and it would assist our inmates in transitioning back into the, the regular world. That's what the new building would be
And
used
are
for.
those bonds paid off, or are we still paying on those?
I don't know the answer to that question, sir. I could find out and let you know,
And
though.
the term of this new bond would be how long?
27 years.
Okay.
Any more questions? Yes, ma'am?
I understand that there are, different towns are hosting information sessions.
Yes.
Could you speak about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Just recently, I believe it was actually yesterday in LaGrange, they had the county executive went there and spoke very in-depth about this topic, and I urge you guys to go and listen to what he has to say, or go to poughkeepsiejournal.com and hear what he has to say about the interview that he had. It's online. You can watch that video. Also, they have one in Beacon coming up. I don't know the date to that, to be quite honest, but I could find that out. You could just go to the dutchesscounty.gov website. It'll be there. So I urge you guys, if you want to take a trip to Beacon, go listen to what he has to say, and it'll be a plethora of information to take in. Also, if you have any questions about this, I could go get answers for you guys, or contact the legislator Sermon. He will get answers for you guys, and just let your legislators know how you feel, so we can make an informed decision.
I do have the dates here.
Okay, yeah, please,
So,
yeah.
Let's see, we have February 24th is at Amenia. Tuesday, March 1st is at Beacon City Hall. Thursday, March 3rd is Hyde Park. And Tuesday, March 8th at Pauling. So that would be fairly close if anybody wanted to go.
Is there any other questions about the jail or Veterans Affairs or anything? Oh, by the way, on Tuesday, with the permission of the board at 6:30 p.m., I'd like to host a Veterans Affairs forum here with other veterans throughout the area to speak about their issues with the VA or anything like that, just to have veterans get together and talk about Veterans Affairs. It's good for us to get together and speak about those kinds of things. Any other questions? All right, thank you guys, appreciate your time. Thank you for the board.
Thank you, Mark. Okay. Reports. I would like to start by saying thank you to our volunteer fire department. Sunday was one of the most frigid days I can remember ever. The town of Unionville felt that cold, whereas most of us were out of power for a couple long hours. I listened to the scanner for much of that time, and I know that our fire department was hard at work in the cold trying to help others. They had many calls in and out of town. Thank you. It was at that time I realized just how important a generator for the town hall is. I think the town board needs to discuss having a generator installed. As the central nervous system of the town, we need to be ready and available in emergency situations. I spoke with Dana Smith and William Beal from the Department of Emergency Response to try and find out the extent of the power outage. They assured me it would not be long. Central Hudson was working on it. The power came back on as we were talking. I did ask about any grants for emergency generator equipment for municipalities. Mr. Beal said he thought there might be a grant out there. So at this time, I would ask Councilman Welsh to work with our grant writer and see if there is anything out there.
I've checked in the past and there wasn't, but I will check again.
Okay, Mr. Beal had said that they actually were going for a grant. is taking them a really long time, maybe even up to 3 years, but if we can get anything, it would
Sure.
help. Also, on Wednesday, Councilman Welch and I met with Halmar, the company doing the bridge work in Unionville, Route 55 and Route 82. The bridges will be worked on, the roads will be closed. They explained about the detours and how they will affect our town. Representatives from Beekman, LaGrange, the Dutchess County Sheriff's Office, New York State, the Fire Department, and the county all attended, and I'm sorry if I missed anybody else because there were so many people here. The main concern is the road closures. I am concerned this will affect our town roads. I spoke to the Beekman Highway Superintendent today. He already put up signs on Clap Hill, DeForest, Riley, and Baker Road. 2 of these signs are in Unionville, and I approved him to put them up. They will be telling residents that it is local traffic only, and there will be sheriffs there to make sure that everyone uses the proper road closures. In regards to putting up local traffic signs, only signs on, we need signs on Wisman and South Parliament. The Beekman Highway Superintendent also tried to contact our highway superintendent. There are signs out there that he can have made. They actually have a template, so we can, at low cost, make these signs. We only need about 2 of them. They may cost up to $100, $150. We'll put one on Wisman, one on South Parliament, to try and keep the traffic off these highways, because if all of this traffic decides to go there, we are going to have destruction and deterioration of the roads. The main detour signs will send traffic to Route 82 to East Knoxon and back to 55. It's a 5.2 mile detour. Everyone knows that not many people are going to obey traffic signs, but there will be sheriffs in place to make sure this happens. Maps of this detour will be available on our website as well as on cable channel 22. Route 55 closure should start about March 22nd and end July 25th. The Route 82 closure in Burbank will not really affect the town. They will be rerouting traffic by putting a temporary road in adjacent to the work zone. There will also be a public meeting in March, so the residents' concerns can be addressed. This meeting will be posted on our website as well as on local cable channel 22. The other thing I am working on is to get confirmation for the residents' emergency preparedness training from the Dutchess County Emergency Center. It is supposed to be on March 14th at 7:30 p.m. at the town hall. Any residents interested in coming to this meeting and learning about how to prepare yourselves for any kind of emergency need to sign up. So please call the town hall, sign up, and we will put a definite date and time on this meeting and let you know about it. And I think that's all I have. If there are...
On the signs there for local traffic, I'm thinking maybe one at Cunningham Drive as well. 'Cause
Yeah.
that could be
Yeah.
used as a bypass.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And the other thing we need to do is make it very clear on Wisman Road, the bridge, which is only 5 years old, the weight limit, so no oversized trucks decide to,
Well, you were there with me at the meeting, and the weight limit signs are good, but the sheriff's department did state that if we put weight limit signs, the only way they can ticket people is if they have scales. Scales are gonna cost.
true,
So,
but at least make them aware that the
Yeah.
bridge is not capable of more than a
right,
certain weight.
and local deliveries only,
Right.
and things like that, just to keep the big trucks out of the residential neighborhoods.
Yeah,
And it is a major concern, and I urge everyone to go to the meeting. Whenever
Yeah.
Halmar contacts me,
Mhm.
they may come just to a town board meeting, and like Mark did, have just a little presentation to explain it and question and answer time with the public. Do you have anything else, John? You were there.
just to say that they would like to have made a temporary bridge on 55 to minimize a detour, but the adjacent property is too wet that they could really build anything substantial in a short time. But fortunately, in Burbank, they're going to build a temporary bridge, so if you're going up and down 82, you will not be too inconvenienced. You'll just have to slow down. But for 4 months, Route 55 bridge over here, west of Knoxon Road, will be closed, and you'll have to take the detour. March 22nd till July 25th is their proposed construction detour dates.
Okay, are there any other town board reports? Dave?
You want, well, I was looking at your thing.
Okay.
All right, the only thing I've got to say is, that I was down at the Association of Towns meetings. And went through a lot of classes.
Did you learn anything?
Actually, I learned a lot, and everybody might not appreciate the fact that I learned a lot down there, but I learned a lot down there. And I was going to talk about it later when we were talking about it, but if you want to talk about it now, if I can just find my notes. The classes that I went to, I found very interesting. We went through a lot of things, especially on solar energy. I went to 2 classes down there. I went to another class on solar energy up in Troy, New York. This was all sponsored by NYSERDA. They have a lot of programs available out there. Right now, the state has $1 billion to invest in solar programs. And the town can be eligible to get upwards of $250,000. They are really working on trying to promote this. I spoke with the people from NYSERDA. They would like to make a presentation here. Pat Strong from her office is over in Ulster on April 4th at a town board meeting. I gave a tentative approval, but I need the approval of the town board to do it. Their programs not only include the municipality being able to participate in solar energy, but also for residents and group purchasing. I was looking at the building inspector's report, the building department's report, and I believe this month there were 2 or 3 permits for solar energy in private housing. The state's trying to get it on a unified program, and we can get grant money just for approving that unified permit. But I don't really want to get into that too much. I just want to make sure that we can, they're saying there's a lot of money out there. I don't know about anybody else, but if I'm paying taxes to the state and they're willing to put money back, I'm willing to take it.
Of course. Okay.
Yeah, I went as well. I plan to have a more in-depth report next month, or next meeting. I came back to a mess at my job due to the weather. But I did go to a number of classes as well. I attended one on the solar energy, attended one on open meetings, another on the drones, and with that there are some federal laws that are already in place. New York State is drafting their own set of laws that will apply here, and they are using models from several other states to put those together. So once that shit comes out, there may not be a need for us to have our local laws, just be following the state. And met with some bond writers and engineering firms, explained our problems here in the park. They thought they might be able to help us with some grants. So I'm going to get that information to John. And again, like I said, I'll have a more detailed report for the next meeting.
Okay, thank you. Anything from you, Karina?
No, not unless you want me to talk to the website.
No? Yeah, the website will be up and running,
Yep. So
hopefully tomorrow.
So we've had some issues because our webmaster stepped down at the end of the year, and we were hoping to still be able to get things on, but that didn't go so well. So some residents, the only way I have of getting information out is using my private Facebook page. So we have been working on that behind the scenes, and Andrea announces that tomorrow is our go live date. In the past 6 months, one of the things we realized is that one of the things that separates the residents of Unionvale into the haves and have-nots are if you have Cablevision or not. And about half the town doesn't. And so they do not have a means to watch Channel 22. So if they aren't here at the meeting, they don't know what's going on at the meeting unless they take the time to come over, drive over, get a DVD, which I do know some residents, since I told them, have made the time to do that. We're hoping this will be a much better way. We'll actually be able to Andrew will be uploading our meetings. So tomorrow, hopefully, however long it takes to get the meeting uploaded to the website, our go live date for the website is tomorrow. And is it the same address?
Yeah, they're going to redirect it to the town website right now, and then it'll be whatever the Unionville NY.
I thought you were going to give a report.
We're going to give it to you.
Oh, okay. You know, I mean, but you know, at the same time, while you're on it, I'd like to add the fact that they've already been putting up the meetings on YouTube.
Yeah, on the YouTube channel, so you can get the old ones tonight if you're really interested.
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah, because I mean, we've been. Yeah. All right. Go ahead,
Okay,
Karina.
thank you, Andrea. You're doing a good job. Yay, Andrea. Would you like to add anything, Andrea?
Do you want to come to the mic?
Are you allowed on this side of the camera?
So it's like, Jim's over there, right?
Yeah, so
Andrea Casey, Media Coordinator. All the old meetings will be archived on the site as well through YouTube, so if you're really anxious and want to take a peek, you can go to the Town of Unionvale YouTube channel and look at them, but they will be posted on the homepage, and then the archived ones will also be on the Town Board section. So you'll be able to get all of the information on demand now, and hopefully the website should go live tomorrow. Our vendor is going to connect the two sites. So we welcome feedback. I'm sure there will be lots. So feel free to contact us through the website or, you know, the town hall number, whatever's easiest, and we can make those changes. So any other questions?
No, thank you,
All right.
Andrea.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
For all your work.
Okay, reports from departments and committees. Highway Department is not here, so we have no Highway Department report.
Did you give his report to Steve?
No, he didn't. Steve, did he give you a report?
I don't have anything, you know.
No, I think he said. Okay, Bookkeeper, Ryan.
Good evening, thank you.
What
First,
is your
I'd like
name?
to, Ryan Cortine, Town Bookkeeper and Finance Officer. First, I'd like to thank the Town Board for allowing me to go to the Association of Towns. It was a great education, taking just the accounting and bookkeeping classes. And it was also recommended to me that I attend the Comptroller's accounting school that's coming up later this year. So I'll be talking about that with the Supervisor and the Town Board in the near future. All of you have this report that was in your mailbox. I just wanted to go through it quickly, and then if you have any questions, I'll do my best to answer it. The first page was a list of the 23 bank accounts and CDs that the town has in 2 banks and a credit union, with the December balances and the January balances, and then that month-to-month difference. So you can see that at the end of the year 2015, the town had $4,719.80 in those 23 accounts and CDs. At the end of January, the town had $948,201.76. So the difference is a decline of $116,518.04. I also further broke it out into that there are 8 what I would call non-liquid accounts. Again, there's the 8 CDs that are the bottom 8 lines of the credit union section, and then 15 liquid accounts. So I think with the end of February coming, and I should be having a very nice meeting with our tax collector, Mrs. Bonk, soon, I'm not concerned that we will run out of liquidity. But, with paying for the library, which is not part of this, it's part of February, and then other expenses and payroll, it's the liquid accounts are getting rather low. So we'll need to look at the CDs as they mature over the next few months as to what we should be doing. Also then on the right side of that page, just so it was clear as to the activity in each of those accounts, I have the debits and the credits. For instance, you might look at in the Tompkins Mayapack Bank, the payroll line. You might see that it goes from 16,000 something to 12,000 something. You think, oh, okay, that's $4,000. But the reality was that $73,000 went in and $78,000 come out. So you can't just look at the difference from month to month. You have to look at also the activity. For instance, for February, we had the renewal of the ban. So one of the accounts with respect to capital projects is going to have $800,000 something in activity, both credit and debit, because we had to renew the ban. So, but if you looked at the account from month to month, it would look like only a few $1,000s of activity occurred if you just look at the, what it was at the beginning of the month, what it was at the end of the month. So I thought that was important to have there. Any questions on that first page? Okay. The next, it's a 6-page. Make sure I have it right. Yeah. So the next 6 pages. So this is, again, all the, it's a town budget, essentially, broken out by line, and showing what was adopted, any modifications, which there were a few adopted by the town board, and so what the modified budget is. What was expended year-to-date, which is only, obviously, January, and then remaining year-to-date, and then the year-to-date percentage. The percentage is rather irrelevant, as we're only 1 month into the year. You would look at some accounts and see that 8 1/3% occurred in a lot of the payroll accounts because that's 1/12 of the year. But again, like the library, you would look at the library account, you'd see 0%, and then when I show this to you again next month for February, you'd see 100% because we paid the $72,000 to the library. So if you have any questions about this, please let me know. It's 4 pages of general fund appropriations. Then the 5th page is general fund revenues, and then the 6th page is, highway appropriations and revenues, because they can all fit on 1 page. The other 6-page report is just going to be the month-to-month breakout of all that same information. So you should see how all the information here matches up with all the information on this one. You can even lay them out next to each other and look at it. Any questions on those? Next would then be the QuickBooks profit and loss statement, again, just showing the activity. So what you'll notice is that the revenues are all A-fund revenues, and they match up with what's in the budget appropriations document on page 5. The expenditures for the A-fund, there's a slight discrepancy. If you go to the 2nd page of the profit and loss, there's just 2 lines. You can see I even put little question marks next to them. Sick time and vacation time. I'm not sure where that is supposed to come from in the budget, so I just have to do a little more digging. So I may need to adjust this document for the following month. But the totals of the appropriations will match up with the expenditures here, except for that $369.12 amount. And then you'll see that the the highway appropriations, 25,407, match up with the highway appropriations in this document. And then lastly, this is prepared by our deputy bookkeeper, Ms. Hunt. She's been amazing, as I know the Supervisor Tompkins can attest to. I mean, she's just been really helpful. One of the things that her and I were discussing just recently is we need to adjust one practice that we have whereby, I'm in charge of all the expenditures and revenues on behalf of the supervisor, and she's in charge of the payroll on behalf of the supervisor. But what we are going to start doing is reconciling each other's books, just because I shouldn't be the one that says, I'm writing out all these checks and then say, yeah, all these checks are good. I should have obviously somebody else doing that. That's just a common practice in accounting. And so I'm going to check her payroll accounts, and she's going to check my expenditures and revenues going forward. And then just working with various departments, Town Clerk DeForest and the Deputy Town Clerk Casey, they've been amazing in just helping me out in this new role that I have. And just a couple little changes. For the assessor in communicating with the town of LaGrange, what you'll start to see here is that the assessor is budgeted as a 0.1, but he's not really our employee. He's the town of LaGrange's employee, and we're contracting with the town of LaGrange. So really it should be a 0.4. So we'll be making that adjustment going forward, that we'll be paying that out of 0.4, and we may need to have the town board do an adjustment in the budget just to show that. Because again, if it going forward, if it's hitting the 0.1 account, then it should also be hitting Social Security and all this other stuff. And again, we don't technically pay his Social Security, but we pay the town of LaGrange, and then they pay all of that. So that's just one adjustment that I've noticed. Also, I'll be meeting, I met briefly with Director Mattis from Parks and Recreation. We're going to have a more in-depth meeting soon just to go over financial operations down at the park. I'll be meeting with the recycling administrator regarding that as well. And I've met with Building Inspector Kolb just to go over, kind of what he's looking for in terms of, he's giving me checks and how we're going to just handle that. So, any questions?
Any questions?
No?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan.
I apologize.
Parks and Recreation?
Good evening, Rob Mattis, Director of Parks and Recreation. One moment here. I have a bunch of numbers as well, so hope you're not too numbered out yet. First I want to start, a couple projects we've done we're really excited about. Over the last year, we've been, our last 6 months really, we've been really trying to get the indoor facilities upgraded a little bit, repainting and just refacing everything inside. And we are, as of this afternoon, I would say 99% complete on our interior renovations of the main barns. We finished the ceilings. We went back and forth about replacing the tiles in the seating room as opposed to, or should we try and repaint them. Cost effective, we were able to save about $1,400 by repainting the tiles, putting one quick coat of paint on it, and they look brand new. So we're really happy about that. The ceiling in the large hall, I don't know if you remember if you've taken pictures in there recently at any events or other things that you've been to, but if you look at the ceiling in your pictures before this week, you would notice they just got dingy. They probably hadn't been painted in about 20 years maybe, since they put the popcorn on, who knows when. But it looks great. We're really, really happy. All the counselors were able to help us out, both after the summer camps ended as well as this winter when they had breaks, and then also the maintenance guys who just busted their humps to get everything done the last couple weeks. We really appreciate it. And if you get a chance, you want to just check the place out, come on in. It's a fresh coat of everything. So, and if you have events, book them in our park and facility because they're beautiful anyways. So we were really happy with that. We got a bunch of trail work done. You'll notice we're still going to continue to work up on the yellow trail and the blue trail on the east side of the park. There's just a lot of barberry. I think we discussed it a little bit at the last meeting, I believe. But we've been just trying to clear that out for quite a while now. And so as you see, you'll have a little bit more arm room, a little bit more elbow room to get through the trails and not scratch your elbows, not scratch your legs. And over the next year, we'll be continuing to try and eradicate as much of it as possible. That's the most condensed area of the park that we have that has this in. You'll notice that the equestrian center as well as the everything on the west side of the creek does not have that same problem. So we're going to hope to continue to work on it and open those areas up a little bit more and just sort of reclaim that part of the forest that's starting to be overcome, as well as you'll notice in the front of the park. We haven't done anything with it yet. We are looking at, Supervisor Tompkins had given some information about a grant, an Arbor Day grant, and so we applied for it. It was due we applied for it last week, and hopefully we'll get the approval to go forward with it. We're looking at putting some bald cypress trees in that area, removing everything that's there. They're fast-growing trees. They'll be good for the amount of the condition of the soil and everything that's there, and we'll eliminate all the undergrowth as well as the pines that are there, because a number of them are in some serious condition. So we're looking at taking those out entirely. If we cannot get the grant, then we will still look to move forward to get as much of that out and as possible, and still replace the trees. I'm sure we'll be able to find some way to do it. So those are a couple of the projects ahead and what we've been doing. We have a couple programs as well. TGTT Survival Week during spring break. It's sort of a tease to our new survival camp. So every day you can sign up for 1 day, you can sign up for 2, for the whole week. But it's you're learning all kinds of outdoor skills. It's not necessarily sports-based, though you will during the TGTT days have, and TGTT stands for Thank Goodness There's Time War. Sorry, I should have, some people don't know that. So thank goodness there's time war. It's just much quicker to say TGTT. So the survival days will be during the Arlington School District's spring break. So sign up for 1 day, sign up for all. The days run from 8 in the morning until 6 p.m. and they're $55 per person. We also have all of our summer programs are now available. You can go to our website, uvparksandrec.com. And download any of the forms that you need, print them out, send them in, and don't forget there's also a link on the Parks and Rec website to the town's brand new website starting tomorrow, which I can't wait to see. That's going to be really exciting, and so I have everything linked back together again and updated, and so we're really excited about that as a whole. And I think I've got one other thing. I know that Mrs. Hitzman had spoken about it as well, was regarding the seniors. And I don't know that the money that has been given in the past, I know that everyone's trying to look and see what we're supposed to be doing, what we should or shouldn't, what's legal, what's not legal. In the past, we've given them $1,000 and they've run programs and services for the community. And this is my own personal view on this. I don't know what that is that we would never ask the library to do exactly what we're asking the seniors to do. We're not going to give them $77,000, but they have to send us an invoice every single time they want to spend money, up to $77,000. And that's what we're asking the seniors to do now. Is we told them we'll give them $1,000. We should give them the $1,000 to let them run the programs the way they're supposed to be ran. We give them $1,000 twice a year to offer services to our community. And I think that's what we should do. That's what we should do again. They can fill out a voucher for $1,000. We'll hire them as the agency, the people who are doing this. And I think that that's a fair way to do it. We've promised them the money, and I think that they should. I think that they should get it. Without having to go through back and forth of here's a $50 bill, here's a $30 bill. It's just, I don't think it's the right thing to do for these people who have done so much for our community, who continue to offer a lot for our community. So I would just ask, as you consider what the future is for that, that maybe you would consider going and giving them the $1,000 twice a year. They can fill out a voucher, put together an invoice as a Unionville Senior Citizens Club, and we would hire them just like we would hire any other company to come in and run programs for us. Lastly, I've got handouts. Oh. Sorry. I do have one other thing.
I got 2, Rob.
I just wanted to make sure you had enough. I did bring extras. If anyone would like, I brought one especially for you, Brady. But if I do have, actually, I'm just going to pass these around. Can I have a hand right here? Just toss these to the other side. If you wouldn't mind. If you, I got that for you. Thank you. If you're interested. You are very welcome. We'll toss that. She's got mine. Just so you can follow along. All right. This is very quickly at a glance. Ms. Moore had brought up last week the huge deficit that the Parks and Recreation Department presumably had over the last 10 years, the sum of nearly $3.5 million. And I think what I wanted to first just get out there is that deficit is not the case. And we met last week, and was it last week? Yes. 2 weeks ago. Last week we met just to go over the numbers and explain one of the, I guess, problems in speaking about transparency for the town, the community, something that might be helpful, and which is why I think those numbers were used, because they were the only numbers available. If you go on the town's website, if you look at the budget, all you see are the proposed numbers. You see what was budgeted with the proposed budget, which is the most you're ever going to spend, and you see the proposed revenue, which is usually the least amount you can guarantee to bring in. And that number is a gigantic difference between what the actual numbers are. So what I'd like to ask is the town board to, when we're looking at updating the website, when we're looking at updating the budget numbers, that we include the budgets that we get to make our budgets from, that include the actual numbers from 2 years prior. So when we create our budgets, we have 2013's actual expenses and actual revenue. We have 2014's proposed, and usually what's actually up to August 31st, because that's when the budgets are due. And then we have the proposed 2015. So what I'd ask is for future, as the website's being updated, that we would allow the community to see what the actual expenses are, because I think that there's a big surprise, and that it shows the numbers that we have here. I'll go through it a little bit, but since 2007, since we were looking at those specific numbers, we've reduced the amount of spending, we reduced the cost of the town for the Parks and Recreation Department by $66,000. And so it's a huge amount of money that we're not spending, that we're not costing the town anymore. We are spending money, we're spending more money, but we're also bringing in considerably more. And so that's what I wanted to share with you. And if anyone's interested who's watching, I'm more than happy to email this little presentation together and email it out to anyone. Feel free to email us at the park, and we'll get that out. But a little bit about Unionville Parks and Recreation, and some of this is for the town board, new town board members, new supervisors who maybe haven't seen this information before. So I don't know what's new. I don't know, what you've had access to prior to your experiences now. But I'd like to share some of this information, not just with you, but with the entire community. And first being the mission of Unionville Parks and Recreation, is that Unionville Parks and Recreation strives to enhance the quality of life for all citizens in our community by providing strong partnerships within the community and creating variety of recreational services, special events and services that encourage lifelong learning, fitness, and fun. That's the mission. That's what we do every single day in Unionville Parks and Recreation. And when we're looking at our budget, every single time we're spending money, we're fixing facilities, we're renovating, we're making things look good. That's what we're doing. We're running great programs. Oh, by the way, the kids' overnight was fantastic. I forgot to put that on there. It was exhausting, and I apologize for the intermission here, but that was a great event. We will do it again. We'll probably have 2 a year, one in the winter, one in the fall, but that was a great event. But that's what we do. We provide these opportunities, and there's a cost to doing that. There's a cost with anything. There's a cost for libraries. There's a cost for highway department. There's a cost for everything that goes on, and we bring money back into it, and we try and make that as revenue neutral as possible. We're one of the few agencies that are able to create revenue from what we're doing, and we're making it closer and closer. The expenses that we had when we started in 2007, the actual difference between cost, between the expenses and the revenue was $248,000 and change. Last year, 2015, the actual difference was $181,000. Yes?
I don't know if I'm allowed to ask questions now.
Oh, sure, ask a question.
I guess your chart is a little unusual. What was in the budget for each one of these years?
That's the actual, in the blue,
Approved expenses on the left?
on the left.
That's what the town.
That's what the town approved.
Expenses.
And then in the green are the actual expenses we had.
So they gave you in 2000, 705,000, and you spent 566.
That is correct, for the combined parks, recreation, and pool. Yes, and now the reason that there's a big difference in what we actually spent and what we budgeted. Two things regarding that is, one, we budget for worst case scenario. If we have to spend every single dime, these are all the dimes that we spend. And that's why we budget these numbers. We do not try to spend all of those numbers. When we spend in the Parks and Recreation Department, I'm a very conservative person when it comes to spending. I don't spend just because we have money. I spend money because we need something. And so that's why I didn't just go and, speaking of ceiling tiles, purchase ceiling tiles. We found ways to save money for the town to purchase those ceiling, or to reuse those ceiling tiles. And so we do try, I budget for the most that we would have to use, but around every corner we try and reuse. We try and save as much money as possible throughout everything that we're doing. Now, the Recreation Department, last year the Recreation Department brought in, it spent $244,000 approximately. I don't have this exact number right now, but approximately $244,000. We brought in $331,000. When in 2007, they spent $153,000 and only brought in $143,000. Since 2007, we've increased our revenue by nearly $200,000.
Excuse me though.
Mm-hmm.
If you add up all of these columns on actual difference, which is actually a profit loss column.
Yeah, it's about $2 million.
$2 million loss.
Correct.
Okay.
Right,
I just
but
want to make sure people understand.
yes, we spent approximately $2 million to run the Parks and Recreation Department.
Correct.
For the last 9 years.
Correct.
Now, with that said, the Parks and Recreation Department also operates the 2 rental facilities owned by the town, whose revenue is not in this budget, which accounts for $46,000. Now, my maintenance staff are the ones who take care of those facilities. We also take care of the facility at the town hall, which is also part of all of that $2 million. We plow the town hall, we plow the park, we plow and mow the recycling center. We take care of more than just Parks and Recreation, and so when we're looking at $2 million, we not only take care of other services outside of Parks and Recreation in the town, but we provide a safe place for children, for adults, for anyone. We provided an area where if you want to go hiking, you've got 12 miles of trails in our park system here. You've got ball fields, you've got rental facilities that people use all the time for weddings, for parties, for little get-togethers that they don't want to do at their house. You've got open space, you've got nature observation, you've got a gem of a park that not only is it beautiful to come, but it increases your property value. It provides an atmosphere for, if we didn't have parks like this, if this community did not have, that people, there are a lot of people who would move elsewhere. because they look for things like this. It draws more people into a community, and it's not just the $2 million. We spent $2 million. Every single department here spends money. That's part of local government, but we're providing a service to this community that is unmatched by anyone else around us. We are the best Parks and Recreation department in the area, in the county, and we're proud of that, and the community's proud of that. So we do spend money, and that's the way it goes. However, we're coming closer and closer, as I said before. All the programs that we're running, that's how we're starting to pay for all these things. We're running more and more programs, and our program revenue is going up and up. And you'll look at all of the dates, 2007, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. You'll look at every single one of these, and there's a little bit of jump, and you can see when we had to buy a new vehicle, when we had to buy a $50,000 tractor, a $50,000 pickup truck, a $50,000 mower. That's part of the budgeting. That's part of everything that happens. We wouldn't have to do that. That $2 million deficit could be less. And that's the whole reason that we wouldn't have to do this if we started to, if we were allowed, if we can get, as budget season comes through, and we'll talk about this as budget seasons come through, but we need to start putting together capital accounts for vehicles, for these big ticket items, so that we're not asking for $50,000 this year, so that we're not asking for $75,000 this year. If I have 2 vehicles that break down, that's $100,000. I have to ask for that in the budget. So if we start asking for $10,000, put it into the accounts, we know we're going to have to replace these vehicles in 10 years. So instead of asking for that right on the year it's due, we need to start looking at that. And that's how we're going to make this number even less. Our revenue is not going to stop. Our revenue is going to continue unless we're defunded, and if we're defunded, there were a lot of services in this town that would cease. Not just recreation services, but a lot of other services in the town that would actually cost you more to do, because then you have to hire other people to come in and do them. And that's not something that anyone in this community wants. But we can look at other ways to get these numbers even lower. Our recreation numbers, that's what's footing all of this bill right now. That's what's providing. People aren't paying us to mow the grass. They're not paying us to watch it. They're not paying us for that sort of thing. Our facilities, the infrastructure, we have to continue. We have to keep. So if we stop every program, we still have to pay for the facilities, and that's what's costing us money. And so that's what I just wanted to share the numbers and encourage the town board to please put the actual numbers online as soon as possible, so that when people do try and get research, they have accurate numbers. Not everyone's going to enjoy the numbers. There's no doubt. Nobody wants to spend money that they don't have to. But we have the same goal. Unionville Parks and Recreation, we have the same goal as every taxpayer in this town. We do not want to cost taxpayers unnecessary dollars, but we do want to enhance your life. We want to make it positive. We want to make sure that you've got opportunity, whether you use it or not. The same could be said for many other services. We want to make sure that you have opportunity to use these services. They're available for you, and that they're good, that they're top quality, and they're something you can be proud of. So that's Unionville Parks and Recreation. Questions? Okay. Oh, you have a question for me, or you're just coming up?
I'm coming up because I have to talk to you.
Oh, well, I'm not done.
No, stay right here.
Oh.
What's that word right there?
Oh, I appreciate you for, no, I appreciate you for pointing that out. If you look at the very last page. Yes, no, now listen to this, no question too big or small. We are here to help you because we want to listen. We want to hear what you have to say.
Put in quotes or something. All right, next. Maintain town cemeteries. Now, which cemetery are you maintaining besides the one at East Knoxon and 55?
We have the one at East Knoxon and 55, and then we have another cemetery that is landlocked, privately owned, or with, I don't know the name of it. No, it's an old cemetery.
It's on Jordan Court.
Thank you.
It's off Jordan Court, in the back.
Are you actually getting in there?
We haven't for a while. No, we don't mow it.
In years.
No, we don't. It's
We've got
not.
plans this year to work on.
We're not mowing it.
Well,
No.
that's nice. But we have other cemeteries. Lizette and I are handlers.
Yes.
And money is getting short for taking care of cemeteries. And the Division of Cemeteries, are you ready for this?
I can't wait.
Have recommended that we ask the town, if we're running short of money to maintain our cemeteries, that we ask the town for financial help or physical help. All right.
That's the last thing we want to do.
We love our cemeteries.
Yeah.
We love old people and dead people. does that? Oh, yeah.
I think I had some other questions over here.
Sorry, Alfreda, speak for yourself.
I had secretary too, but also know the old dump up by the VIII.
The recycling center, yes. We mow and plow that as well.
And remind everybody, we got 2 parks, not just Time Warner.
And we do have 2 parks, 2 beautiful parks. So use them both. There was one thing I didn't notice. Actually, are there any other questions regarding
Rob, I just
this?
have a question.
Yes.
Can you upload your PowerPoint to your Parks and Rec website? So
Oh,
people
yeah.
can access it that way?
Oh, absolutely. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes.
Just make that spelling correction.
I will change that.
Put it in quotes.
I'll put it in quotes. Come on, is that the only thing you have to bust my chops on? One thing I didn't notice on the agenda, I put it up a memo for both myself and for Jessica to attend conferences. Jessica's conference is the American. I'm sorry.
When did I get that?
Beginning of.
February 4th.
Thank you. You said beginning of February. I do need to discuss it. We've got money in the budget. It's budgeted every year for conferences for the Parks and Recreation Department. The ACA conference is actually in a couple weeks, the American Camping Association conference. I would like to send Jessica Dickinson, our after-school program director. She's also our survival camp director and recreation assistant. I would like to send her to that conference. It's a three-day conference in Atlantic City, and it's one of the top camping conferences, certainly in the Northeast, but in the eastern part of the states entirely. The total cost for the conference would be about $700, and it would allow her basically to bring back again the educational sessions that you've attended. It's the same type of conference. They have an expo for trying out products and seeing what's new and innovative out there. So she would be going and representing Unionville Parks and Recreation to the camping programs, and then bring it back and educate our other camp directors on what she's learned, what's new and innovative for the camping season, some new products and things like that. And if there are any laws that changed that we should be aware of, she would bring those back regarding camping and programming specifically for it. And then the National Recreation and Parks Association Conference, annual conference, is also coming up. They're going to open up registrations for it soon, but again, with travel, it's in St. Louis this year. With travel, I'd like to get everything approved now so that if approved, we can make the travel arrangements as soon as possible so that we don't miss out and have to pay more later, which we've had to do in the past. So I don't know if I can give you any specific information or answer any specific questions about it.
When in March is the?
March
one?
7th. 7th through.
So we would
7th
have
through the
to
11th.
approve that tonight.
Tonight, yeah, it would have to be approved tonight because she's still got to book and then make
For
plans
her.
and, yes, yeah. Ideally both, so that we can discuss it and make the bookings as soon as possible.
Okay. Okay, does anyone want to make a motion to approve Jessica? to
I'll make a
go?
motion that we send both of them to these conferences. It's in the budget.
It's in the budget already?
Yeah, we budget for it every year.
My concern is that you go every year.
Yes.
Right? So I think to be fiscally responsible and looking at numbers, even including losses,
Mhm.
that to potentially send each of you every other year would bring back the information. I understand hers is only a tri-state and yours is a national. I
Right,
understand
different
that.
conferences entirely though. One's a camping conference, one's a total Parks and Recreation conference.
Is there any means for you to get education otherwise?
Not this quality.
Not, I understand it's not the
Right.
national conference, I get that. But like, I'm a nurse, I have to
Right.
do continuing education credits, I can go in person to a class, or I can do webinars.
Mhm.
So is there means for you to, I understand you have some kind of certification, right?
I have a number of certifications,
Right, so
yes.
in order to do those, you may need continuing education
I do,
credit?
correct.
Is there any way for you to get those continuing education credits outside of a national conference?
Oh yeah, I don't go to the conference for the continuing education credits. I do most of the continuing education credits on my own outside of this department. The reason to go to the national conference is because that's when you're finding about new laws, new regulations, new services, best practices, in addition to networking with a 5,000 peers who are in the same field, who the same reason that as councilmen you go, as council people, you go every year to your conferences, every year after year.
That's not $2,000.
No, it's not. It's absolutely not. I don't know what your cost is.
That's $2,000.
I don't.
It cost me $229 to go down.
Okay.
You know, I mean, it's not $2,000.
I'm aware of that.
We don't spend that much money to educate our town officials. Govern the town.
That's unfortunate.
But the taxpayers can't afford it.
What's that?
But the taxpayers can't afford it.
Well, according to my numbers, we're bringing in $100,000, $200,000 more than what we used to because I do this. Because I educate myself, because I do the best practices.
I mean, last year you came back with a zombie camp and making our park one of 115 spotlighted camps in the country. It's a town park.
Not camps, parks.
Park. But it's a town park.
Yeah.
It's not a county park. It's not a state park.
Correct.
It's a town park.
Correct.
I don't care if it's one of the 115 greatest parks in the country.
Right.
I want it to be good for us.
Right,
period.
and that CAPA certification.
But that's what you came back from that's what you reported back
Right.
from the.
I attended many other sessions. Those were the ones that I'm going to highlight because I'm not going to go through every single session that I did. However, that CAPA certification that you referenced, it's not just to be the 100th, 15th, 142nd. The whole point of that is to bring up accountability, to bring up all these things that you want to be transparent. Well, looking at those 146 different policies, it puts us in that spotlight. And it doesn't just say, oh, well, we can go and do this, but it makes us accountable to another agency that comes through and audits us. An outside set of eyes that say, you know what? You do meet that. You don't meet that. It gives us a standard to not just think that we're good, but know that we're good. And you're absolutely right. You might not care whether we're 115th or whatever best park in the county, but as somebody who's in the country,
you said there
county.
aren't even any of those parks in New York State.
Yeah, I did. I actually found out Westchester does have one.
Oh.
But I was.
But Westchester has a lot more tax revenue coming in than we have.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. But I still think for $2,000, I think that the value you get, the education and the things that we bring back, I think are absolutely worth it, without a doubt. I mean, there's no way we would be where we are right now if I did not educate myself and stay on top of these things year after year after year. There are times when you go to the ADA conferences or the ADA sessions in these conferences, and you come back realizing that, hey, half the stuff we have isn't right. When we took down this playground here, and people wanted to build it up and put it up at Godfrey Park, we would be liable for all of that. It's risk management. There's so many other things. There's financial management, there's risk management, there's policies, personnel, there's everything else. It's not just, oh, we want to create a zombie camp and get certified because it's a feather in our cap.
Rob, is there any way that we can table that part of it and approve the Atlantic City for Jessica?
Oh, that's
right
up to
now?
that's up to you guys.
No, is there time? I know there's no time for Jessica.
Yeah, there's no
It has to
time
be
for that
a
one
delay.
for sure. Right.
Can we table this to the next meeting so we can
Discuss.
it and think about it?
That's perfectly fine. Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna.
So I'll amend my motion.
Thank you.
To send Jessica to the camping seminar.
American Camping
Atlantic City,
Association.
next month.
Mm-hmm.
I second
Okay.
it.
You second it?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. Okay.
Okay.
We will put this on
I'm
the
already
agenda.
Thank you.
writing it down for the next.
Okay.
But I
Thank
will
you
say
very
that
much.
Most professional people usually have continuing education as part of their employment on a yearly basis. That's kind of the way it is.
Right, which is why I was asking Rob, is there a different means? Like, is $2,000 a year the only means, or is there different?
I paid $40,000 while I was here for my master's program, my own pocket. The town said no, they wouldn't help me with any of that. There's a lot that I do that I don't ask the town to pay for. So I would appreciate it if the town would support me, would support the Parks and Recreation Department in the future for this, because it is very important.
Thank you, Ralph.
Thank you.
Okay, recycling center, I spoke to Tom today, Tom St. Ange. He does not have a report, but I would like to say that a couple of different people came in for recycling center permits on the off hours, and I happen to be here. And people can go to the recycling center and fill out for permits there, or they can mail them in, and Mary Lou will take care of them at any time. Okay, dog control.
Okay, you want me to read this word for word then?
If you'd like.
Okay, there were
I
no
think
dogs
easier.
reported lost or found in town for the month of January. Dog control officer spent the majority of the month reviewing New York State Ag and Markets Law, Articles 7 and 26 relating to licensing, identification, and control of dogs, cruelty to animals, and the dog control officer and municipal shelter guide. Dog control officer had preliminary meetings with Kim Volpe, New York State Ag and Markets Animal Health Inspector, and Melanie Rogers, Intake Services Manager of the Dutchess County SPCA, who oversees the sheltering of dogs confiscated in the town of Unionvale. An inventory revealed the need to replace certain pieces of dog control equipment needed by the town. The dog control officer researched several different prices and suppliers and presented them to the supervisor and town board for purchasing.
Okay. Town clerk's report?
I turned in $38,040.41 to the supervisor for town fees, $113.90 to the state for state fees, and I took in a total of $38,154.31.
Thank you. Code enforcement officer?
On behalf of George Cole, who submitted his report to the entire town board, as February 1st report, he reports that the required 1203 reporting to New York State has been submitted for the year of 2015. The annual report for HUD has been submitted regarding building permit issuance. He's currently waiting on a meeting to speak with our attorney, Tom Jacovellis, assigned to his department, and he's been working with Larry Paggi's office, our town engineer, to arrange some requirements for MS4 annual report and local law requirements for 2016. He did 51 inspections, 4 violation notices were issued, 9 building permits issued. As Dave had pointed out, 2 of them are for solar panel installation. Old permit COs issued were 16, municipal searches were 5, complaints received were 7, violations abated were 2, resident meetings 11, certified occupancy compliance 27, complaints that were acted upon were 7, appearance ticket issues were 0, fire callouts were 2, and plan review hours were 13.
Constables?
Constables, for the month of January, they patrolled approximately 905 miles. Used about 54 gallons of gas. The 3 court dates went normal without incident, very light with number of cases. The new court officers that were taking over for those of us that have retired were very professional, did a nice job in their first month of steady time in court. There are a couple of things that they found as they were doing patrols, people illegally parked or some doors unlocked. We did have a meeting and we talked about the things that we found. The skating rink had some activity. Some of that activity they found down there, they had 16 people down there one night, one town resident. There was the one incident in January down there that, the constables had nothing to do with, but, they have been looking over for security measures down there. And that's about all that they have here.
Okay. Media? Andrea, you did yours, okay.
The only thing I'd like to add on the media, we've been looking into possibly a new camera. We've had some complaints about the quality of video. It's like going from a VHS to, watching a videotape on television to watching a DVD on these new high-def televisions. And, if you watch channel 114, it's kind of blurry, it's kind of spotty. We're using a VHS camera on a digital system. We did, at the last contract, receive, I think it was $7,500 for equipment. We haven't spent that yet, but we're trying to find out how much is left. And we'll be looking at upgrading our equipment like that money was meant for.
Okay, zoning board of appeals.
I didn't receive a report.
Okay.
It's here.
Oh. Thank you. Well, no money collected during the month of January, so. There you have it. Big report.
Planning board?
There is no report.
Okay,
No
there's
report.
no planning board report. Discussions, constable policy and procedures.
I have a tax collector report, we just didn't
Oh,
put it on
I'm
the
sorry,
thing. So,
it wasn't on here.
sorry,
Okay.
we're still getting good at this. It wasn't on our agenda, but our tax collector report for January of 2016, there was $348,532.42 collected.
Thank you. Okay, discussions, constable policy and procedures.
Okay, we began reviewing it. One of the classes that I went to down in New York was going over policies and procedures. They almost recommend doing it every year. And there are probably a lot of policy and procedures that we should review. There are a few things that we've talked about, and I've talked about to other towns as well, that are in our policy and procedure. We had a big expenditure when we hired some new people, and the amount of training that the state requires now is expensive. And I know neighboring towns, they kind of share constables. It's where they will hire constables from other towns to fill in when they need constables, and this way here we can cut the cost down. Our town code, our policy and procedure says all constables must be residents of the town. Now, we have one who's been saving the town money by being our municipal police training council trainer, so that we don't have to pay to send these guys out for their annual training. And he's been great. I mean, he's been working for us for probably the last 10 years, and he's been appointed by every town board up until now. And, I was just
We
brought up.
reappointed him.
We reappointed
Yeah.
him, right, but I mean, it was brought up now by a man who actually appointed him last year, that he's not a town resident. But he's been, I guess, more or less grandfathered in.
Right.
But by removing that restriction, we would be able to, instead of having to go through that 135 hours or 136 hours of training, 39 hours of training, if we have to replace any of we're down in constables now, but that's by choice because we hired the young guys originally to take the place of the old guys that were leaving. What we want to do now is we might be able to draw from a pool from outside. Ron DeGusto, who is a retired police officer, we were able to appoint him just before he would have had to go through that training again. Saving us money, and he's probably one of the best assets that we have because, in fact, I want to talk about that too. But you know, we could have a retired officer that might live in LaGrange that wants to keep his peace officer status, and when we need another employee, say, yeah, I'd like the job, and you don't have to pay for all that training. We have right in Town of Unionville a wealth of state police that reside here. Some of them will be retiring, and they might want the part-time job when they retire. So, I mean, my suggestion, you know, that's the first suggestion, and, you know, that I'd like to remove from there. But I'd also like to go over the policy and procedure. The last time, it was originally gone over in 2010.
Have you gone over it, Dave?
I wrote it.
Okay, have you written any updates?
Any
you'd like to see put
updates?
in
No,
place?
but I will keep
So I think
people.
that you
I-
should go through it and
I'm gonna go
give us
through it
any
with the officers.
suggestions, and then we can all review it.
Right, I will go through it with the officers, and I'll keep everybody posted on it.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Okay, the seniors, $1,000 for January and July. I'm more than willing to give the seniors their money. Unfortunately, Karina found some
Well,
stipulations.
we can, but I may be misunderstanding, but I'm thinking of that, I'm hearing that we're not being supportive of the seniors, and I want to alleviate that. We are absolutely supportive. These women I spoke to on the phone are just like amazing.
Women and men.
Well, that I spoke to on the phone were two women. They explained the group to me. They're doing a great job this Friday. They're having luncheon. But what needs to be understood is the responsibility of the town board. And I'll read it directly from our brand new manual we just received. The town law places the town board the responsibility for the general management and control of finances of the town. So it's the town board's function to raise monies through the imposition of a real tax. We all know about that. To fund the town's budget, if necessary, additionally ensure that the town's monies are expended in a proper and legal manner. The way the Comptroller's Office has set forth that a proper and legal manner are two ways. You can enter into a contract with an agency. So we can call the Unionville Seniors an agency. I wanted to do this in the best possible manner for that group and for our town. So if it meant me spending a little more of my own time, that would be fine. What I'm trying to avoid is, I'll read you an audit from Long Island. The town made payments totaling $3,000 to two private entities, the town's Senior Citizens Group and the town's Historical Society. The claims simply indicated annual contribution of 2010 budget and annual donation to the Historical Society. However, the state constitution prohibits gifts and loans, and if you want that, I have the number of that, where it is in the Constitution, in aid of private entities. The contractual arrangement under which the town receives services in furtherance of a town program for its residents. Both claims were audited and approved by the board without any contractual arrangement for services to be rendered in furtherance of a town program. Once these payments were made, the town had no enforceable promise by these groups that the monies would be expended to further any town program. Because town officials paid incomplete or unsubstantiated claims, failed to properly approve and audit claims before payment, and failed to verify that goods and services were actually received. There's an increased risk that the town made inappropriate, excessive, or unauthorized payments or goods and services that were not received by the town. What we are looking for as a town board is to do this in the easiest manner for the seniors group, but we don't want it to get backlash to us, because we're the ones that get audited. And it has been 20 years since Unionville has seen an audit, and now that we've all been to these trainings, they are aware of the time. We are not anticipating it will be much longer. So for now, Gloria Meyer has agreed to try the voucher process just for 1 month. She actually said she's totally on board with it, she's fine, but I said just try it for a month, and then we talk, and she has my number to call me, and we're just going to try it for a month. She assures me they have the money to put out. She's like, we're not in need of money at all. I don't know what's true or how much they spend per meeting. So that is the way we're going to do it, so that the money that is in the budget can get into their hands, rather than just a check which obviously in this day and age, we all read the news and we all know that people get in trouble because they paid a mortgage with that check. I don't think there's any wrongdoing here. But we don't want them to get in trouble and we don't want to get in trouble. So this, I put a motion that we absolutely give them the money that's in the budget. We just need to do it. I've already spoken to the comptroller's office. I already know we can't write them a check. They have my name, so I'm sure they're looking out. So, I'm not. As long as they're willing to try this, I say we try this. If not, we try something else. If we go to a contract, we can ask our lawyer to write up a contract.
Have we consulted the town attorney on this?
No?
No?
You can.
Do you have an opinion on it that you can?
Well, what the councilwoman said is accurate under the law. You can't just give a group money because there is accountability that the state wants. One of the things that Rob brought up, if they are providing programs, recreation parks programs, that's one thing. That would be a contractual relationship. And then the town they could submit a voucher through the recreation department, and based on Rob's audit and the town board's audit, they could be paid that way. The other thing would be, like Councilwoman Kelly said, if they're using the money for expenses, obviously, operating expenses, they could submit vouchers, and the town could then disperse the funds. But I think it's important for the town board, regardless of what past practice was, that going forward, that there is a paper trail, that if the town does get audited and the town board gets audited, there's a paper trail for an auditor to receive from the comptroller's office that, yes, the money was budgeted, the money was expended, and here's the backup information, so everything's above board. That would be my...
Have you reviewed our past practice to say that it wasn't meeting the requirements?
No, I'm just hearing what was said tonight, that in the past, they were just issued checks in February and July. I don't know if that's...
I haven't been able to...
I don't know if that's accurate, Steve, or not.
If it is or not.
I'm just saying, going forward, just for everybody's protection, it may be just better to either go through the recreation department if they're providing programs. That's a legitimate purpose to fund them, especially for the seniors. That they're providing a service to the seniors in the community, that's a legitimate purpose, or the voucher system, whichever one everybody agrees to, I think, would be perfectly legal.
Okay, so I think our next move is to discuss this with, Karina already discussed it with the
Yeah, it sounds like they want to go to the voucher process.
And they're going to go to the voucher process.
And when they give the voucher, we'll give them money.
Right, and if they feel that this is just a burden,
Right.
then we can go through Rob and do the contract and give them the money.
Right.
And if they don't need it, we'll keep it.
No, but again,
Right.
this was one of the classes I took down in New York, and I took a class on policy and procedure, I took a class on budgeting, and again, from the comptroller's office, they were very, very emphatic on, making sure that everything has a paper trail. So.
Okay, we're going to do resolutions. At this point, I'd like to make a motion to allow Marc Coviello to use the town hall on February 23rd at 6:30 to meet
second
with the
that.
veterans.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Karina, do you want to read the first one?
Sure. It should be a little bit longer though. Am I putting in names?
Well, yeah, Alan, Kay, and now Mondello. For the-
Resolution 16-18, appointing planning board and zoning board of appeal members. Be it resolved that the town board of the town of Unionville hereby appoints Alan Natchev to the position of Unionville Planning Board member for a term expiring December 31st, 2022. Be it resolved that the town board of the town of Unionville hereby appoints, there's 2 planning board alternates, Ralph Mondello and Kay Sanglabeni, to the position of Unionville Planning Board alternates for a term expiring In front of me, it says December 31st of
3 years.
2016, but town code says it's a 3-year term. So I'm going to amend that to 2019 for the alternate 3-year term. Be it further resolved that the town board of the town of Unionville hereby reappoints really, James Layton to the position of Town of Unionville Zoning Board of Appeal member for a term ending December 31st of 2020. It's 2020 because his term was up at the end of 2015, so it's 5 years. And there's another position now open on the Zoning Board of Appeals, so be it further resolved that the town board of the town of Unionville hereby appoints Alana Nilsson for the remaining term.
I think there's, oh, okay.
Yes, for the
I thought
remaining
you were going to
term.
do the alternate.
For the remaining term, Alan Nachev had to step off of the Zoning Board of Appeals. His term is up at the end of 2017. So Alana Nelson to be appointed to the rest of Alan Nachev's term. That would be December 31st of 2017. And what?
Town board discussion, as far as,
Seconded that.
We haven't
oh,
yet.
I'm sorry.
We haven't yet. We're in
We haven't
discussion.
yet
Okay.
because we have not had a chance to discuss.
Do you want me to do the alternate for John Musa?
We have to agree to an alternate. There's never been an alternate to the ZBA, am I correct?
I haven't had a chance to look into that.
I believe you're
In
right.
town code.
There, right, but there never has been,
And it's in town code.
was the alternate for the ZBA
At one time, yes.
at one time, and after that, there was no alternates on
No,
record.
not after he left, no.
Right.
So it's been a couple of years.
So what Karina would like to do is bring back an alternate for the ZBA. If we want to hold that off till the next meeting, we would like to ask John Hughes if he would like this position before we go ahead and give it to him. So I think we should table that position until
Yeah.
we discuss it with these people.
Good idea.
Ilana Nielsen was recommended by Jane Smith, who is the chairperson of the ZBA, and James Layton would like to keep his position
she
and be
agreed.
reappointed, and she agreed
Jane
with that
Smith
also. So we are going by Jane Smith's recommendations.
Now,
on
did we
this.
meet with this Alana?
No, we didn't. We weren't aware that the position was going to be open because
Of
Alan, that whole deal with Alan,
Okay.
and then we didn't give her a chance to interview. We are actually taking the word of Jane Smith, the chairperson. So it's up to you if you want to table this, that's fine.
I'd like to table this and have an opportunity to speak with her,
Okay,
and just,
I'll agree with that.
okay. I'm fine with that, so maybe we can just make this for James Layton. Are you
yeah, I'm
agreeing
okay
with
with that
keeping
one.
him?
Yeah,
Question on the
Sure.
dates of the alternates. Are they filling vacancies that are already in progress,
Yes.
which would expire? So what they're doing is
They're
fulfilling an unexpired term.
They expired,
They
both
both
of them
expired.
expired on 2015.
Okay,
And Alan actually moved into the
Right.
full-time position.
right.
I have to say that everyone we interviewed were amazing. It was a really hard choice. They were just really good people. And upon further discussion, we chose the best people for the positions. And I'm really sorry that everyone can't.
well, to keep those
Yeah.
names in the future.
And
because
yeah, I
these
would
things come up
definitely
every so
like to
often.
keep those names for the future and any other, excuse
Well,
me?
part of it is.
Yes,
Part of it
the planning board is, the first house.
And James Layton is.
Yeah,
Oh, and
The only
Yeah.
one we're gonna wait on is Alana. Steve would like to meet with her and interview her before we give her the full-time and not John Hughes. And the other could have the alternate. And Dave seconded that, and,
Dave?
yes.
Yeah.
And all in favor on?
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, John, you want to read this one?
Okay. Resolution 16019, appointing Library Steering Committee member. Town Board of Town of Unionville hereby created a Library Steering Committee. Now therefore be resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Unionville hereby appoints the following individuals to the Town of Unionville Library Steering Committee. Any individual who is interested and attend the Town of Unionville Library Steering Committee meetings. And be it further resolved that members of the Town of Unionville Library Steering Committee shall serve at the pleasure of the Town Board. And be it further resolved that,
We cannot choose a chairperson.
We can't.
Because we haven't met the people who want to be on the committee yet,
so
so
that part I'll leave out then.
that part you leave out.
So we'll have to go to a roll call vote.
Second.
Second?
No, who seconded it?
Wait, are we having discussion?
Will someone
So you got a second?
second it first, and then we'll do the discussion? I'll second it. Town board discussion?
I wrote up, because it was requested, what the purpose of the steering team committee is, so I'd like to read that, so everyone, not everybody knows what it says. So, we had agreed on the original resolution that it was to study, assess, and potentially implement sustainable funds for the library. So off of that, I wrote that the Unionville Library Steering Committee is established February 2016 as an advisory committee to the town board. The Library Steering Committee serves at the pleasure of the town board and has no function to take action unless expressly directed to do so by the town board. The purpose of the Library Steering Committee is to investigate all possible options to ensure full, sustainable public library service for all Unionville residents. As per Resolution 16-11, the Library Steering Committee is charged with the responsibility to study, assess, and make recommendations to the town board. The Library Steering Committee will present all options in a clear written manner to the town board. The presentation will advise and educate the public of the pros and cons of all options. The town board may utilize the Library Steering Committee to establish a future committee that will work on the option that is selected by the town board. As per Resolution 1611, authorizing creation of the Library Steering Committee passed on January 21st of 2016, the committee shall consist of 8 to 12 residents of Unionville. The chairperson of the committee shall be appointed from the membership by and serve at the pleasure of the town board. The town board members appointed to the committee was myself, as motioned by Patricia Tompkins, the supervisor, and seconded by Dave McMorris, town board member, on February 4th of 2016. So my discussion is, I think it's really hard to have a committee when you don't know who's going to be there at any given time. It's hard to be purposeful when you're not acting together as a group. So I think the intent initially will be an education piece, so we can all come at it from some level playing field. So if somebody then comes to the third meeting but missed the first two, I myself am concerned with, I have no problem with them being public meetings that people can come out and speak at. I'm just concerned that if we don't have a committee and it's just any individuals who are interested to attend to show up to a meeting, there's no commitment level there.
But how do you choose between a homeschool mother, a father, a businessman? How do you make a decision on who to allow on this committee and tell the next person absolutely not, when they're involved just as much as everybody else is? You can't choose between people who should be allowed to be on a library committee at all.
But these are the only
This
people
is their
that
life,
came
this is their
forward.
taxes, this is their, right, and those are the people who are gonna show up. So if they're not interested, they are not gonna show up and they are not gonna be on the
Right,
committee.
I don't want to exclude people other than those. I mean,
Right.
maybe nobody else
I
come,
mean,
but at least
there-
others may have the opportunity.
There was no real announcement made that we're going to have that we're going to interview candidates for a committee. Like, we interviewed candidates for the planning board. We made a motion, we said that we were going to interview candidates for a planning board, and we had told the people how to get in touch with, either through Mary Lou or somebody that these,
Well, the planning
so that we
board-
so that we can have interviews.
For a
You
paid
gave us a
position.
list.
For a paid position
It was
that
for
is
a paid
absolutely
position, but-
necessary with
Volunteer.
But if you're,
a volunteer, anyone in the community
I was on-
should be allowed
Right.
to volunteer.
I was on the Budget Review Committee for Arlington 1 year. It wasn't a paid position. There were a lot of people that wanted to be on that. We submitted resumes, they looked over the resumes, and they interviewed people, and those were the people that ended up on the committee. We weren't getting paid. If you want it, apply for it. I mean, if you want to make it a committee in that aspect, it's not fair to turn around and say, well, one person decides, yeah, these people signed up, they're going to be on the committee. They could be people that have something against the library. They could be people that, oh yeah, I'm all for the library. And everybody else in the middle is going to get lost.
I just don't know how you choose between each person to be on a library committee when everyone has the same stakes. That everyone needs to be educated, everyone's children need to be educated, and everyone should have the same say. I just think that, I'm gonna be honest with you, those are the people who will show up and continue to show up. But you also can't turn anyone away from a library committee.
So we need to amend our resolution that says 8 to 12.
People have volunteer.
We can't,
Well, I
like,
thought we just did right here.
so
Yeah.
this, it's not stated in those terms that we are amending resolution 1611, which was
Well-
passed on 121.
This will supersede it. We're saying any individual who's interested and attend the Town of Unionville Library Steering Committee meetings.
So then how do we pick a chairperson out of that?
That group.
Just,
The group who shows up and,
Right.
and then they can put in their resumes and we can
So,
interview whoever would like to be, because
Pick
I'm
a
sure
date
not
that you're
all
going
of
to have
them
a
want
meeting.
it.
Pick a date that you're going to have a meeting,
Right.
and make it public, and
Anyone interested, just.
people that are interested, show up.
And then from the people who show up, you ask who is interested in being a chairperson. They can submit a resume. The town board can go over it and discuss it and choose a chairperson who we think is fit.
so the first couple of meetings will not have a chairperson. I would be running them.
You would be running them as the liaison. Does that seem fair?
Seems different.
Well, if it doesn't work,
We
you
come
can
back
always
and amend it.
revise it, right?
I have a copy of your statement.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
Okay, so I think I seconded.
Yes, you did.
Any other town board discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, so John, you read that? Okay, Dave?
Okay, the following resolution is offered, Resolution 16-010, authorized payments. Be it resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Unionville hereby authorizes the payment of all general fund claims and highway fund vouchers as set forth in the abstract number 2 of 2016, which is available at the town clerk's office, and authorize the town supervisor to make all payments.
I'll second that.
Town board discussion?
I just want to make mention that on a couple, I requested the bid, especially for salt, like there's supposed to be a bid identifying number or where I'm supposed to find that, and I know that Mr. Wiseman is not here tonight, unfortunately, but that was one of them I did on the 3rd of February. There's still been no bid provided, and there was another one, a slightly later date in February, that no information has been provided. So I have not signed off on those vouchers.
From the state or county, was that?
Yeah, I
It
believe
was
we're following,
it was on
we're
state
using the
bid.
county.
State bid, so-
Yeah.
No, the
Would
salt
be-
was on
State.
state bid.
Okay.
That is what
$89
he
a
told
ton, I
me.
believe.
Yeah,
for
so
the
That's
salt.
what
that,
he
no,
told me, yeah.
just that he's using the state bid.
But on the voucher, it should actually say, like, state bid
I'll write it
number,
out for you if you
da-da-da-da.
want.
Any other town board discussion?
No?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Steve?
Is this the UV system? we're-
Yes.
Okay. Resolution accepting request for proposal for installation of UV system at Town Hall. Whereas the town of Unionville must upgrade and add improvements to its existing water treatment system at Town Hall, and whereas town engineer left by the town of Unionville.
I'll second. Town board discussion?
This is required by the health department and something that
County, yeah,
Right.
county
we have
requirement.
to do, so.
And the engineer said he's had, the two people that submitted bids, this was the lower bid, and he said he's worked with both people, and both people were well qualified. So,
Okay. All in favor?
aye.
Aye. Opposed? Resolution authorizing waiving of pavilion rental fee. Be it resolved that the town board of the town of Unionville hereby waives the small pavilion rental fee for July 9th, 2016 for the 5th annual Racing to Save Lives 5K, 10K Run Walk.
I'll second that.
Town board discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Okay. Okay, I'd like to make a motion to allow Mary Lou to make, we weren't gonna read the whole thing. Parkinson's Awareness Month, declare April Parkinson's Awareness Month.
I'll second that.
Yeah.
Town board discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Now we'll move to public comments and questions.
What about,
There's one left
Conservation
on here.
Advisory Committee? Inviting people to
Right.
Conservation Advisory.
Oh, I'm sorry. We would like to invite any interested residents to contact any of the town board members or the town clerk's office regarding serving on the Conservation Advisory Committee. And now we would like public comments.
Hi, my name is Jean Moore. I live over on Darren Road, and I've been a resident here for over 40 years. Jean, go to the microphone. Oh, okay. I can't hear you. My name is Jean Moore. I've been a resident for over 40 years here in the town of Unionville. I live over on Darren Road. And Rob, thank you very much for meeting with me. I really appreciate it. And I feel like I've released a tiger from a cage. I always have admired your passion and your dedication to the park and to making good programs and doing a really, really good job. I still have to talk a little bit about revenue, though, and profit and loss, so excuse me. First of all, there's two items I want to discuss. I'd like to thank Lizette Hitzman and Ralph Mondale for their part in initiating conversations last October with the Mid-Hudson Library System representatives, which resulted in the current board and the supervisor approving and signing the current library agreement. I think that's really important. Hopefully this agreement, along with the library steering committee that's going to be formed, will put the past controversy to rest and will help heal some of the bitterness and anger that marred past board meetings. If I remember correctly, and you know, I've been here over 40 years, I'm getting old too, But we as a town years ago decided not to provide our own library to residents of the town because we were using neighboring libraries for free. Why should we build our own library when we could use neighboring libraries at no charge? Because not having our own library saved putting up a building or remodeling a building, saved us millions of dollars because we didn't have to buy books, we didn't have to buy videos, we didn't have to buy computers, we didn't have to provide desks, bookcases, tables. We didn't have to provide the staff to operate the library and clean the library. We have saved a lot of money because we didn't have our own library. One of only about 3 places in the Mid-Hudson Library system, if you look at the map that they have on their website. I believe all town residents should have access to a library. I think that's important as part of our democratic government and having an educated society. When some of the reasons for not supporting full library access seem specious and without merit, I decided to look at the town budget more carefully. For example, and some of the reasons why that were used I found kind of strange, because one of the reasons was not everybody uses a library. Not everybody uses the town park. So why should I pay extra for the town park if I don't use it? That's the argument that can be made. So I found that a little bit lacking. Another reason that was used is that we didn't have the money to do so. We have saved millions of dollars by not having a library in the past and being able to use other libraries. And I didn't feel that it was out of place for other libraries to say, you're costing us money, you should help pay for some of the use of our facility. I didn't really feel that that was unreasonable. So then I started to look at the town budget. And the biggest budget pretty much that I could look at easily was the Parks and Recreation. And yes, I apologize for my incorrect, inaccurate figures, and as Rob explained, it's because the information on the website, even though it's there, does not give accurate information. It only gives what they anticipate will happen. It doesn't give the exact amounts that were spent. So Rob met with me and he gave me a sheet, which was very nice of him, very colorful and so forth, breaking down all of the expenses. And I said, this is a great sheet, but you need one more column, profit loss, okay? And so Rob kind of did that. This is a wonderful thing that you've done. This is really great. This is nice that you're explaining that it also, you guys take care of the cemeteries and you take care of the buildings and you plow around here and so forth. I think that's important information to have. But we still have to remember, you say we're getting more revenue, but we're still having about the same amount of profit and loss. And I broke it down because I feel it's really important to realize where some of this loss is coming, and it's still coming from the swimming pool. When we voted as residents to have a swimming pool, we were led to believe that once the swimming pool was paid for, the fees to use the pool would pretty much match the expenses to operate the pool.
I like to say most of the money for that pool came from Iroquois Pipeline through grants. The vast majority of it.
Well,
not from taxes.
I appreciate that, but the problem is it's still losing money. And I know you said that we're getting closer and closer each year.
We've been working on it each year, yes.
Well, would you please look at these? All right. It says that the pool lost $30,000, rounded off, in 2007, lost $40,000 in 2010, lost $49,000 in 2014, lost $57,000 in 2015. That's not coming closer. That's getting further
I'd like to
apart.
look at these a little bit closer.
This comes from Rob's figures.
I understand that, but
okay?
I'd like to do my own comparisons on this.
That's fine. I think that would be great.
And compare the other columns to
And then I made another chart. This is based on Rob's chart, and I gave a copy for everybody. so everybody could have a copy of it. Because this is broken down into after-school concessions, park, beach and pool, and then the total loss.
Steve, pass them down. There's copies for everybody.
Oh, I didn't read, I wasn't made aware of that.
And so
Is this a different?
the total loss is coming from the parks budget and the beach and pool. And yes, the after-school concessions and the rec department is increasing in revenue, but it's not making the loss less. The loss is still about $160,000 to $200,000 every single year. And I really think that's a larger loss than should be there, unless you're going to break down and say, well, it costs this much to take care of the cemeteries, it costs this much to take care of this. It's not completely broken down, and I think it really should be. I think it should be more specific. And then we have some misunderstandings. One being the pool getting less of a loss each year, which is not the case. It's getting more of a loss each year. We should investigate why is that happening. Are we having too many lifeguards? Is the pool open too long? Are we not charging enough for the use of the pool? Are we giving too many organizations discounts? We don't know. Yes, Rob?
To go in with what you just mentioned there regarding the pool, we actually reduced the number of lifeguards from 5 on-duty lifeguards to 4 on-duty lifeguards this year, as well as reduced the number of lifeguard substitutes we have so that we're not training people that we may or may not use. In addition, the fees across the board went up this year for the pool, so that we can try and close some of those numbers.
That's good.
Just so that you know.
That's good. That's
Yeah.
good. And now I'm probably going to cause some umbrage amongst the equestrian people. I want the equestrian people to know I am not against horseback riding. I have a daughter who started riding when she was about 9 or 8 years old. I made the mistake of sending her to horseback riding camp so that she could find an activity she loved. She loved equestrian. She has been riding ever since. She is in her 40s. So I'm not against equestrian. She even started a horseback riding program at the University of Vermont. And I spent many times there helping sell food and stuff like that. So I'm not against the equestrian program. They think they are making even money or that they're ahead. They're not. There has been a total loss of $7,216 in the equestrian program from the year 2009 to 2014. Now, maybe we want to have a loss in the equestrian program, and there's some stuff in there, in the equestrian program every year. I don't know, but we should be aware of the fact that it is a loss, okay? So, I think there are things that we could look at, or somebody could look at, to see if there's ways that we could kind of narrow that loss a little bit more. And this chart is really, really good that you made, Rob, but I think that one that says difference should actually say profit or loss, because that's really what it is. And you can't just depend upon revenues. You have to look at the bottom line, which is profit or loss. So that's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else?
Carlos Mina, Manila Road. First of all, I'd like to see this part of the program on the first part of the program, so I won't miss ball games. And second of all, Dave alluded that there was an incident in the park. Well, a lot of people don't know what the incident was. There was some illegal activity, that's what the state police said, and altercation ensued. Young person got run over by a car, and he died. And John and I don't know if Dave was there, we was there at 1:30 in the morning while they was processing the scene. And we've also had other incidents. We had one up on the K-Trail. A guy pulled in there at night sometime during the night, and a lady was walking her dogs following morning and found him hanging in the tree. So
That was many years ago.
it was quite a few years ago. I think Alfreda was bringing up a stepladder that day.
It's too short.
Yeah. So I was just wondering, what are you doing about security?
Well, sir, we are looking into lighting and cameras, but I really would not like to discuss this on camera, because, you know, the bad guys are out there, and if they hear what we're doing.
Well, there's bad guys out there tonight, because when I drove up here tonight, there was 2 cars in the parking lot. Nobody's skating.
Where's our constables?
I don't know.
It's too late, they're done already.
But I think that this should be discussed
I understand
at
that.
another time.
Yeah, absolutely true.
If I tell you, okay, we're putting a camera on the side of that building to face,
You're absolutely right.
they're gonna know where to go and what to do, am I correct? So, yes, we have been discussing, Steve brought up more lighting, and Dave brought up more cameras,
And-
and we are looking into it.
Speaking of lighting, how come there's lights down there now on the skating rink?
Because the skating rink is open?
Are you going to open up put lights on the basketball court and the volleyball court this summer so people can go down there after dark?
No.
So just a question, I was wondering about that. About 2 weeks after the incident, when it was still cold and nothing, not everything thawed out, I was driving down the hill. There was 4 kids skating on the skating rink, hockey players. And there was a bunch of cars in the parking lot, so I just drove through real quick. And there was 6 cars in the parking lot, or over to the side, full of kids. I don't know what they was doing. They wasn't skating. They could have been warming up from skating. I don't know. But the park is wide open for anybody that wants to do anything at all down there. And one other thing, I used to spend a lot of time in the park. Since I retired, I don't have time anymore. But I was wondering, what are you doing about the bridge over the creek?
Well, we are looking into another bridge to be donated. And as far as the access for the fire department and the rescue squad to there, it is much easier access to go Lime Mill Road and in that gate.
Well, I understand that. What are you doing with the old bridge now? Because you can drive over it. Whenever I saw a bridge condemned by the state, the county, or other towns, they put a barrier across so nobody can go over it.
It's restricted to
It is
traffic. as it
restricted
is.
to traffic right now.
What kind of traffic?
Any
Town traffic.
No one's allowed in
Vehicles
there,
aren't
am I
allowed
right,
there.
Rob?
Public vehicles aren't allowed out there.
You're right.
There are no vehicles allowed back there.
Okay, how come there's always tire tracks past it?
That is our parks and recs, people doing their maintenance job.
But if the bridge is condemned, they shouldn't be driving over it.
It's got a weight limit set on it by the town engineer. I don't know in particular what that is, but the town engineer has approved some vehicles to cross that bridge.
In Jersey, most of the time, the tracks that you find are from our gators and.
I know the difference between a gator and a two-wheel drive, or 4 wheels on a dump truck. I know the difference.
Driving back there.
And also, I rented the pavilion across the stream last year. First thing Rob told me, no cars. 2 weeks later, I'm down for a fire company picnic. There's a party going on across the stream. 2 cars drive over the bridge, around, and over to the pavilion. So nobody seems to be watching what's going on. And it's,
Well, I'm sorry, sir, but that was before my time.
right, well, what's going to happen this summer?
Well, if I'm notified about it, we will do something about it, and
Okay.
it takes residents like you to be alert and aware, and if you see things going on down there, please feel free to call the sheriff's department or the troopers. And
That shouldn't be my job.
I'm
Somebody
just saying
should be watching.
residents' awareness.
Somebody should be watching the park. Who's watching the park?
You're in there, see something, say something.
yeah.
I mean, is that what they tell you?
I mean, the town cannot afford 24.
You're absolutely right, but the problem is, the kids that go down here to do stuff don't see anybody. If you have a little more for a while, constables going down patrolling and doing something, when was the last time somebody got cited for being down there doing something? And it's going on all the time. I can come down here,
can't answer that question.
I can come down here next month with a bag of paraphernalia I picked up in the parking lot. I don't want to have to do that, but it's going on down there. I found needles up at K-Trail.
Okay, so we will notify our constables to spend more time down in the forest.
I appreciate that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And if you please, I mean, this may sound gross to touch a needle, but if there is any way we can turn that into the police. That's not necessarily like constables, they're peace officers. It's not really in their jurisdiction. But if we find on town property that there is wrongdoing, and that may be.
I'm telling you, there's wrongdoing going on down there tonight, probably.
So when I leave here, I will go down there and check it out.
Okay.
If I see any wrongdoing, I will.
And
go
why is there a gate up here that's unlocked?
We're working
We're
on
working
that.
on that.
Different gate systems.
Okay,
There
thank
are
you.
homes in the park right now, and.
Well, if you was to ask the guy that was trying to keep this kid alive before we got there, how he feels about the gate being closed, I think he'd like to have it closed. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion or public comments? Okay, discussion of next town board meeting agenda items.
Well, the things we tabled from tonight.
Yeah. Written down the approval for Rob, a discussion of generator, like I don't know if in 2 weeks you can search
Well,
that.
George is actually trying to get prices for me already as we speak.
Okay.
George is gonna get prices for me on generator.
Okay.
Yeah, I tried
installed
before,
and
and there was
everything.
never any grants available, but, we'll check again this
Yeah,
new year.
and John will check on grants. I think that we should not waste money. I think we gotta do it right the first time. But it is necessary, and I think we're all in agreement on that. So that will be, and any other
And then
things?
the ZBA appointments.
The
which
ZBA
we had
appointments.
tabled the remainder of Ellen
Right,
Bishop's
and-
term and the alternate to be
Right.
appointed.
And also Rob's request for.
Yes, I said that one.
Okay.
Rob's request, yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay?
I just have one thing that's bothering me. I've been an advocate for improving the town website since I first was appointed to the board. And I'm happy that we're doing something here, but I don't recall that being discussed here at a board meeting. I wasn't aware of it until the past couple days that it had been going on. That's something that should have been approved by the board. I would have liked to have had some input on it. I realize, I can from this point, but these changes shouldn't be made except from this desk here. And I want to make sure that in the future that, that's the way that occurs.
Well, I'll just add one thing to that. Last year, when you were talking about getting approvals, you said for them to make up a presentation, and they did.
I don't recall that presentation.
Well, I mean, they've got, all right, we haven't put it up here
It's going
yet,
online
but
tomorrow.
that I didn't know about, but I mean, I'm just saying, you asked them in the past to do it.
No, that
and
was
they
your
didn't.
proposal and it never happened.
My proposal was that, when you first brought it up, is that we let the media department do it.
6 months ago, and then nothing happened. And now it's going
Because
online
the
tomorrow,
information that
without
we
any
need-
discussion by the board. That's
Well,
not the way
I'll
things are
discuss it
supposed
right
to
now.
work here.
I'll discuss it right now, because.
Well, it's a little beyond the fact now.
It's not live yet.
That's all right. It's not the way, you folks came in here talking about transparency and how things are supposed to be handled. This should have been before the full board and discussed prior to anything happening.
We are
Any
putting
changes
out
being made.
RFPs for,
Andrea?
I don't believe there's any fee associated with it.
I understand that, but it's a change to the website that represents the town, which we're the representatives of the people here for the town. We should be discussing what goes on that website as a group.
It's the same.
And I'd like to hear somebody tell me that I'm wrong.
I believe it's the same information, correct?
Yeah, with the-
Listen, we need the information.
The bottom line is, this type of change in town representation should not take place without the full board being aware of it.
If there's information.
Sir?
please.
I'm sorry.
Sir?
If there's information that is current and we need to
Okay.
hear about it, I think it's very reasonable.
All right, I will address this. Steve, you're right.
Like I said, I am very pleased that we are making some improvements to the website. I'm not happy with the way it's happening.
I got so many calls. This website needs to be changed and updated. The old names, the old numbers, the wrong information was on it. So I needed to get at least the right names, the right information on this website. And I turned to the town clerk's office, who offered me their assistance and have been so wonderful in
Again, I'm
doing
very happy that
everything.
we are making these improvements,
And-
but it should have come before the board to make that happen. And my point is that I would like in the future for things like this not to happen.
I can send you all the template tonight. and-
No, Andrew, you're not involved. I mean, it's,
No,
the problem
I
occurred at this
agree.
table,
It
and
did.
it needs to be
And
fixed at
Steve
this
is
table.
right, and
It's an
we
argument
need,
about nothing.
and I am sorry about that, Steve, and I will try to make it never happen again. The problem is.
I don't understand why all this conversation is.
Excuse me. The problem is, Steve, and you know as well as I do, we're not allowed to talk as a group.
But we could,
I have
I mean,
to
this is
call
this
you
is
on
an
the
important
weekends and
item.
call the-
Again, I'm
Yeah,
not looking to
you're right,
cause
it
a
is.
problem, but important stuff like this needs to be discussed by the full board.
I
And
agree.
if we need to make time to do it, then let's do it.
All right, I think the point's well taken. I make a
Yes, it
motion
is.
to adjourn.
I second it.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
No, but he will. He will.